Hey everybody, welcome to our second week of summer formation. The first week is on prayer, and this week we'll be starting our series on the virtues, and that will be happening every other week from now on. So after this one, it'll be 2 weeks before our next video. So our first virtue that we'll be talking about is prudence. So what is prudence exactly, right? The Catechism of the Catholic Church says that prudence is the virtue that disposes practical reason to discern our true good in every circumstance and choose the right means of achieving it. So, in other words, prudence is right reason in action, knowing what is good and acting it. Prudence is an acquired habit, which means that it takes effort and determination to practice prudence every single day. So, within prudence, we have three kind of main elements of prudence that kind of help us to practice it out. So they are counsel, judgment, and command. Counsel is basically just deliberating well. It is receiving good advice in a particular circumstance. So to do an analogy, counsel is like looking at a menu at a restaurant and looking at what is in the food. So now you're informed as to what is healthier and what is bad for you. You know that there's salad and a burger on the menu and that the salad's healthier. Judgment is basically consent and choice. It is choosing to accept the counsel. Continuing with menu analogy, judgment would be accepting that the salad is healthier than the cheeseburger and then deciding to buy the salad instead. So you can have good counsel without good judgment. So that would look like knowing that there's a salad and a burger on the menu and that the salad's healthier, but choosing to buy the burger instead, right? And then command is the direct application of counsel and judgment. With the menu analogy, it's going to the register and physically buying the salad after looking at the menu and deliberating on your choices. So command is just acting out counsel and judgment. And command is the main part of prudence, because without command, we can't act on anything. Why do we need prudence, right? We need prudence because it allows us to see the right thing to do and choose the right means of achieving it. So with prudence, we can apply our moral principles to particular circumstances, and this allows us to seek the common good for all. And so I mentioned that it allows us to choose the right means of achieving some right thing to do. And this is good because with prudence, we're able to see a good moral way to do something, whereas there are things called like false prudence and limited prudence, where we would know what's good and we might choose the incorrect means of doing something. But with true prudence, we're able to choose the moral good and allow that to influence our actions. So we also need prudence because from prudence flows all the other virtues. And that's why we're talking about prudence first. That's why all the other virtues will be in the next few weeks. So the Catechism calls it the auriga virtutum, the charioteers of the virtues. Prudence guides the other virtues by setting rule and measure. Gregory the Great said, "The other virtues cannot be virtues at all unless they effect prudently what they desire to accomplish." So, in other words, that with the virtues, you have to choose to act, and because of this flows prudence. In order to properly practice a virtue, it is important to understand how the devil works in and around us through the vices that correspond with the virtues. So, a vice is basically just a sin that opposes a particular virtue. And with prudence, there are several vices that oppose it, but the main one is imprudence. Imprudence has three main types to correspond with counsel, judgment, and command. So these are precipitation, thoughtlessness, and negligence or inconstancy. So precipitation, not like I thought it was rain at the beginning. It's not rain. It is a lack of good counsel. So it's not taking good counsel and rushing into action because of an impulse of the will or the passion. So it would be ignoring the counsel of others who may have a better grasp of the situation. So with our menu analogy, it may just be going into the restaurant and not looking at the menu and going straight to the register and ordering. So the next one is thoughtlessness. Thoughtlessness is a lack of good judgment. It is contempt for or neglect of things when good judgment is needed in a particular circumstance or situation. So in our menu analogy, thoughtlessness would be even if you had looked at the menu and you knew that there was a salad and a burger, you don't really care what's healthier for you. You choose a cheeseburger instead, knowing that the salad would be better. And then finally, negligence or inconstancy is a lack of good command. So a man is inconstant when he has a defect in his reason and fails to command. So that could be like changing your mind, or something else changes your mind for you. With our menu analogy, it would be even if you had looked at the menu and chosen the salad, it would be going to the register and changing your mind at the last second because you just really wanted the burger. And I don't know, we've all done this, but it's just choosing that would be inconstancy because you're changing your mind. It's a defect of the reason. So now we're going to talk about kind of practicality in living out prudence. So as it is shown with the menu analogy, prudence is a habit that can be lived out daily in all of our decisions, big and small. So with the small decisions, these might be things like, should I buckle up before I drive? Should I look before crossing the street? I have a race soon. Should I drink water or a milkshake? And these would kind of be obvious, like, yes, you should obviously buckle up, and you should obviously look before crossing the street, and you should drink water before a race. So those would be examples of some small decisions that you would still use prudence to determine. A bigger decision would be, that might involve prayer, would be, should I be a GL? Should I accept my position to be an exec member? So for me, whenever I was applying to be an exec and I was kind of discerning whether I wanted to join exec, so with my counsel, I prayed about it. I asked my conscience like what I should do, and then I kind of asked my one of my friends what he thought I should do as well, and I kind of took all these into consideration, and I judged that I should accept and I should be on exec. And then with the command aspect, I called Johanna and I said, hey, I'd love to be on exec. So that was me living that out prudently. So how do we know when we're exercising prudence and when we're simply giving in to our own desires? It just follows counsel, judgment, and command. So in the Modern Catholic Dictionary, they kind of explain these stages of prudence differently. It says, take counsel carefully with oneself and from others, using your conscience, prayer, and the advice of others. Then judge correctly on the basis of the evidence at hand, and then to direct the rest of one's activity according to what was determined after a prudent judgment has been made. So, and that's just kind of how you might live out prudence through counsel, judgment, and command. Now you have a somewhat better understanding of the importance of prudence in our lives, and prudence in prayer is very essential to a good prayer life. This involves attempting during prayer to get rid of distractions, as well as deciding on a time to pray during the day and actually going out and doing it. And last thing, we're going to be sending out a short reading on the virtue of prudence. We kind of stole it from a parish online, but it's really cool. It talks about prudence a lot and how amazing it is. And it also talks about how St. Thomas Aquinas is a great model for prudence. So go look at that whenever you're done with watching this video. Thanks for watching. Gig'em. God bless. Praying for y'all. Thanks. One more thing. So you may have thought we were done. Joke's on you, I also thought we were done, but just one more thing. So how can we live out prudence in John 15? The mission of John 15 is to provide a spiritual community for the freshmen and to form disciples from them. Prudence allows us to do this by helping us to make decisions for our families, when to have a hangout or what to do during hangout, as well as knowing when to have more serious times within family time, when to incorporate prayer, things of that nature. Prudence allows us to make those decisions really well. And then in John 15, we learned about pruning, and we are able to prune our lives prudently by following the rule of life and helping and guiding the freshmen in our families to do the same. We never really explicitly said, in our families, this is the rule of life that we follow, this is what we expect you to follow, but we follow the rule of life, and that provided an example for them to follow. And then Prudence in John 15 allows us to more adequately live out the virtues. We want them to be attracted to the way we live, and the best way to do that is to live virtuously, and prudence is the best way to begin living with virtue. And then, so that's it. And if you think that prudence is super interesting and you want to talk more about it, just give me a call because I'd love to. So, gig 'em, and thanks.